The 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix concluded successfully last week, continuing the Red Bull's dominance once again. A considerable improvement from Aston Martin was observed despite Stroll's crash during the Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz, who was a podium finisher in the last race, had to withdraw from the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix as he had to deal with a bad health condition. Then, the Formula 2 driver Oliver Bearman stepped into the Ferrari driver lineup as his replacement, becoming the star of the weekend. Welcome back to Total F1. This is our review of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix weekend. But before we proceed, hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon for more exciting updates. The reigning world champion Max Verstappen was able to top the timesheets with a better pace at the end of the first free practice session of the race. Alonso was in second position, 0.2 of a second slower than the Red Bull driver. Perez, Russell and Leclerc were able to record the top 5 lap times of the session. Continuing his form from the FP1, Alonso was able to top the timesheets in the second free practice session. Russell was the second quickest of the session, and Max was in third. Without making any changes to the composition of the top 5 from FP1, Leclerc and Perez held the remaining 2 spots of the top 5 at the end of the FP2. During FP3, Sauber driver Zhou Guanyu experienced a heavy crash, disrupting the final quarter of the session. The championship leader, Verstappen, unleashed the full power of his RB20, topping the timesheets with a lap time of 1 minute 28.412 seconds. He was 0.196 seconds faster than Charles Leclerc, who recorded the second fastest lap time of the session. Perez was in a third spot. Russell was able to edge out Norris for fourth within the final 5 minutes of FP3. Formula 2 driver Oliver Bearman took the duties of Carlos Sainz's SF24 as the Spaniard was diagnosed with appendicitis. He was ready to replace Sainz for the rest of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. The qualifying for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix started with the participation of only 19 cars, as Sauber mechanics were unable to repair Zhou Guanyu's car after the heavy crash that happened in FP3. Alpine's poor run in 2024 continued when both its cars exited Q1 alongside with 2 Sauber drivers. Williams driver Logan Sargent was the slowest driver in Q1, and he was also knocked out. Haas pair appeared to be working together to record good lap times in Q2. Unfortunately, Hülkenberg had to retire from the race with the loss of power in his Haas Challenger. The debutant Oliver Bearman tried his best to qualify for Q3, but his best effort was good enough only for P11 in the Q2 standings. He was knocked out alongside Albon, Magnussen, Ricciardo and Hülkenberg. Verstappen started to unleash his full power in Q3, topping the timesheet in his first attempt. Perez was comfortably in second place behind his teammate. Continuing his form from the free practice session, Alonso was able to record the fastest lap time in his first attempt. But both were beaten later by the Ferrari driver Charles Leclerc, breaking into the second spot on the timesheets. Perez was pushed to third by Leclerc, and Alonso was in fourth after enjoying a considerable pace gain. McLaren pair was relatively slower again compared to their top rivals. Piastri and Norris were in the 5th and 6th spots, respectively. Despite Russell demonstrating a good pace in free practice sessions, he dropped down to 7th at the end of the qualifying. Hamilton, Tsunoda and Stroll occupied the rest of the positions respectively at the end of the Q3 of the qualifying. But Verstappen's lap times were never challenged by anyone, and he comfortably remained as the pole sitter for the second race of the 2024 season. The pole sitter Max Verstappen was able to convert his pole position advantage into a race lead by showing a good reaction time at the start. Following the race line of his teammate Sergio Perez also got a jump start to the race by becoming a threat to Leclerc, who started the race in second position. After a wheel-to-wheel battle, Perez was able to put his challenger ahead of Leclerc's Ferrari for a brief moment. But Leclerc battled hard to retake his position and was successful a few seconds later. On lap 2, Piastri made a successful move against Fernando Alonso, beating him for the 4th spot of the race. After failing to maintain the position that he got through overtaking Leclerc, Perez once again attacked him on lap 4. This time, the overtake was clean and clear. Instead of going for a wheel-to-wheel battle, he was able to develop a considerable gap with the Ferrari driver. On lap 6, Aston Martin driver Lance Stroll crashed into the barrier after damaging his front left wheel in the previous corner. Then, the race control introduced a safety car period to manage the situation, and all the drivers used this opportunity for a quick pit stop. Within that pit stop window, Red Bull caught the attention with an unsafe release of Sergio Perez's car into the pit lane. Fernando Alonso nearly avoided a big crash with the Red Bull driver. However, Sergio Perez was handed a 5 seconds time penalty for that incident. Race was resumed on lap 10 with Lando Norris in the front of the pack. Meanwhile, Kevin Magnussen made contact with Albon while overtaking, and he was handed a 10-second time penalty as the Haas driver was found to be guilty of causing the contact. After chasing Norris for more than 3 laps, Max Verstappen was able to retake the race lead on lap 13 by making a successful overtake again. 2 laps later, Charles Leclerc made a successful overtake against Hamilton, promoting himself to the 6th position of the race. Magnussen was handed over another 10-second time penalty as he left the track to gain an advantage over Tsunoda on lap 23. Since then, Tsunoda tried hard to pass the Haas driver several times as he wanted to retake the track position that he previously lost. As Magnussen was awarded 10 seconds time penalties twice, the Haas team planned to push his teammate Nico Hülkenberg into the points. On lap 35, Hamilton's defense against Piastri came to an end and the McLaren driver overtook him. Unfortunately, Piastri locked up in the following corner as he was unable to slow down his McLaren properly and ran off the road, allowing the 7-time world champion to regain his position. The debutant of the race, Oliver Bearman, who started the race as 11th on the grid, was able to deliver a decent performance by improving his position up to 7th after battling hard throughout the race. Most notably, he was able to beat Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton in his first ever appearance. Daniel Ricciardo, who was running 16th on lap 45, experienced a little spin after running over the curbs, but he managed to keep his RB away from walls and rejoined the race. The final few laps of the race went without any major incident. At the end of 50 laps, Max Verstappen came home as the winner once again. It was another Red Bull 1-2 finish, as Perez was able to complete the race behind his teammate without experiencing much fight from the rivals except the challenge from Leclerc in the initial stage of the race. Charles Leclerc claimed the final podium finish, proving that the Ferrari challenger still lacks the performance to be a threat to the Milton Keynes-based squad. Piastri, who was in a good rhythm since the beginning, was able to complete the race as 4th and 5th place went to Fernando Alonso. 4 British drivers reserved the spots in the final standings: Russell, Bearman, Norris and Hamilton. Haas engineers came up with some good tactics to push their driver, Hülkenberg, into the points, and finally they were able to execute that plan very well, claiming the last point-offering spot of the race. In that way, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix concluded successfully, once again proving that Red Bull's domination remained unharmed. How do you rate the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel to get more exciting Formula One news. Until next time, goodbye.